Greetings, everyone. I hope you are enjoying the blessings of God today, wherever you may be. This is Romans chapter 13, and beginning in verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also. For they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Now I want to also read from 2 Corinthians in chapter 3, beginning in verse 2. Ye are our epistle, written in our hearts, known and read of all men, forasmuch as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart. And such trust have we through Christ to Godward. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything of as of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of God, who also hath made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. I just want to mention something today on the difference between civil and ecclesiastical government, and how both are established by God. The difference between civil government and New Testament Christianity. The church is to show mercy, but the priority of civil government is to show justice. But morality should be the duty of both. In civil government, in Romans 13, we can see that they are given a physical sword, and they have the right to punish their enemies. Civil government or national government has the right to establish a military and protect its borders and to go to war. National government is ordained by God and justified by God for war on its enemies. National government can be legislated upon by the minds of wise men. They operate through an earthly court. National government or civil government is temporal. They operate on a monetary basis of taxes. They derive their power through the inks of the pens of men of legislation and the ordinances of men, but they're not to be worshipped. Civil government is a national affair. It is an affair of a nation. But ecclesiastical government or true New Testament Christianity operates by a spiritual sword. True Christianity loves their enemies and prays for their enemies. True Christianity operates by the mind of Christ and in a heavenly court. True Christianity operates without the legislations from the inks of the pens of men. True Christianity is eternal. And true Christianity doesn't operate by taxation or the pursuit of the love of money. True New Testament Christianity does not derive its power from the ordinances of men. True Christianity is worshipped in the Spirit, operates by the laws of Christ, and has the mandate to go into all the world and preach the gospel. One can disobey civil government and be obedient to God. One can disobey God by being obedient to civil government. The two governments are well distinguished. They do not at all interfere with each other. They are distinct in their nature and ought never to be melded together. We are to render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but not to render to Caesar what belongs to God. The religious opinions of men are not to be the objects of civil government, and the religious opinions of men do not in any way come under its control. Christianity is a voluntary obedience unto God, which force cannot promote. It's not in the power of civil government to establish forms of worship or religion. John Leland, who was a friend to James Madison and Thomas Jefferson, and an influencer for the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, he made this statement, and I quote, "The introduction of pure Christianity into a nation is an immense blessing, so long as it operates in its native channel, which is to make known the goodwill of God to men through a mediator," referring to the Lord Jesus Christ, "and to teach them to do justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly before God. But whenever it has been made the characteristic of a whole nation and treated as a principle of state policy, it has been the worst witchery above hell." And so this more can be said about the distinct natures and how they are separate, civil government and ecclesiastical government or Christianity, and how they are not to be melded together, but they are separate, but both are ordained by God.